If your lawn turns into concrete when it dries, water sits on the surface after rain, and your grass seems to struggle no matter how much fertilizer you use. Your biggest problem might be compacted clay soil. I know how frustrating that can be. You can water the lawn, feed it, mow it, and still end up with thin grass, poor drainage, and bare patches. That's where a core aerator can make a real difference. But here's the catch. Not every lawn aerator is a good choice for clay soil. Some tools simply poke holes. Others actually remove plugs of soil, which is what I want when I'm dealing with serious compaction. So in this video, I'm going through 10 core aerators for clay soil, from affordable manual options to heavier duty choices. I'll explain the pros, cons, who each one is best for, and which one I would choose, depending on the size and condition of my lawn. And stay until the end because I'll also explain what I look for in a clay soil aerator before I spend my money. Let's get started. I'm starting with the manual lawn core aerator tool with teens. This is the kind of tool I'd consider if I have a relatively small lawn and I want something simple that doesn't require gas, electricity, or a complicated setup. The tool uses durable tines to penetrate compacted ground, and the manual design gives me direct control over where I aerate. The biggest advantage here is simplicity. There's no engine to maintain, no battery to charge, and no fuel to store. It's also relatively easy to store, and the ergonomic handle makes it more comfortable for routine lawn work. The obvious downside is physical effort. If my clay soil is extremely dry and hard, I'm going to have to work harder to get those tines into the ground. And because it's a manual tool, I wouldn't choose it for a huge property. I'd recommend this one for homeowners with small to medium-sized clay lawns who prefer quiet, hands-on lawn care. At number 9 is the manual core aerator for lawns. What I like about this style of aerator is that it combines a manual design with a wider working area, making it more practical than a tiny handheld tool. The supplied review describes a roughly 12-inch working width and steel tines designed to penetrate compacted clay. I like the combination of durability, control, and quiet operation. There's no fuel or battery involved, and the rolling design can help me maintain more consistent coverage. It's also a good option if I don't want to rent a powered aerator. Again, this isn't going to compete with a powered machine for speed. If I'm dealing with a very large lawn or extremely hard clay, I may spend a lot of time and energy getting the job done. This is best suited to homeowners who want an affordable manual option for regular lawn maintenance. At number 8, I have the Core Manual Lawn Core Aerator with tines. This one is designed around a sturdy manual frame, ergonomic handling, and a wider working area. The supplied information indicates approximately a 12-inch swath and a wheelbase designed to make movement easier across the lawn. For me, the big advantage is control. I can slow down in areas that are heavily compacted and move faster, where the soil is already in better condition. It also doesn't require fuel or electricity. The biggest limitation is still the manual nature of the tool. For clay soil that's extremely hard, I wouldn't expect this to feel effortless. I'd consider it for small to medium-sized established lawns, particularly if I want a low-maintenance tool and don't mind putting in some physical work. Now we're getting into one of the most important features for clay soil, hollow-tines. The manual lawn aerator with hollow-tines is designed to remove actual plugs of soil rather than simply poking holes. And that's important because heavily compacted clay often benefits from physically removing some of that soil. I like the hollow-tine design because it can create channels for water, air, and nutrients while actually removing compacted material. The steel construction also makes this a practical option for repeated use. It's still manual, so I have to put in the work. And on extremely dry clay, getting the tines deep enough can be challenging. I'd choose this type of tool for homeowners with small to medium-sized lawns who specifically want true core aeration without renting a powered machine. At number 6 is the Lawn Heavy Duty Aerator with hollow-tines. This one caught my attention because it combines a heavy-duty steel construction with hollow-tines designed to pull out soil plugs. The supplied review describes a compact working width and a foldable design for storage. The biggest advantage for me is the hollow-tine system. Instead of simply creating holes, I'm actually removing cores from the compacted soil. The foldable design is also useful if I don't have a lot of storage space. The narrower working width means I may need more passes to cover a large lawn. And like the other manual options, very hard clay will still require effort. I'd recommend this for homeowners who want a manual core aerator for clay, heavy soil, and value storage convenience. At number 5, I'm moving into a much more serious option, the heavy-duty steel core aerator. The supplied review describes a wide working width, 14 coring tines, reinforced steel construction, and compatibility with riding mowers and garden tractors. That's a very different proposition from a handheld manual aerator. The major advantage here is coverage. If I have a medium or large property, a wider aerator can save a huge amount of time. The heavy-duty construction is also better suited to demanding conditions. The obvious drawback is that this isn't the simple handheld solution. I need compatible equipment, such as a riding mower or garden tractor, and storage becomes more important. I'd put this on the short list for larger residential properties, serious lawn enthusiasts, and professionals who already have compatible equipment. If I'm aerating thousands of square feet, this type of setup makes much more sense than a handheld tool. At number 4 is the Lawn Stik Aerator tool. This is more of a targeted solution. The supplied review describes hardened steel tines, a compact design, and the ability to remove soil plugs from compacted areas. What I like most is the control. If I have a few problem areas where water consistently pools or the soil is particularly compacted, I can target those areas without dragging out large equipment. It's also easy to store and doesn't require fuel or electricity. The downside is obvious. This isn't what I want for a huge lawn. If I'm trying to aerate an entire large property, doing everything manually can become tiring and time consuming. I'd recommend it for homeowners with localized clay compaction problems, smaller lawns, or anyone who wants a targeted aeration tool. Now we're into my top 3. At number 3 is the manual lawn aerator with Step-to-Eject. For a budget-conscious homeowner, this is a really interesting option. The Step-to-Eject mechanism is particularly useful because one of the annoying parts of manual aeration is getting the soil cores out of the tool. The steel tines are designed to penetrate compacted soil, and the Step-to-Eject system makes the workflow easier. I also like the fact that it doesn't require fuel, electricity, or a complicated. The biggest downside is the amount of physical work involved. Like if my clay is extremely hard or completely dried out, I shouldn't expect any manual aerator to magically make the job effortless. I'd choose this for budget-conscious homeowners with small to medium-sized clay lawns. It's especially attractive if I want to avoid renting powered equipment. My number 2 pick is the manual heavy-duty lawn core aerator. This is the option I'd seriously consider when I want something more robust than a basic garden aerator, but still want to keep the process manual. The supplied information highlights reinforced steel construction, a roughly 12-inch working width, and approximately 2.5-inch tine spacing. I like the balance here. It's designed for tough soil, but I don't need a gas engine or a large machine. The manual operation also means less maintenance, less noise, and no fuel costs. The trade-off is still labor. If I have a huge professional lawn care route, I would not want to manually aerate everything with this. But for a homeowner with a manageable lawn, that's a different story. I'd recommend this for homeowners with small to medium clay-heavy lawns who want durability without moving to powered equipment. And my number 1 pick from this list is the heavy Anti-Clog core aerator for clay soil. This is the one that stands out to me specifically because we're talking about clay soil. The supplied review highlights dual hardened steel tines, an anti-clog design, heavy-duty construction, and an ergonomic handle. And that anti-clog feature is particularly interesting. Clay can be difficult because when it's too wet, it can stick to tools, and when it's too dry, it can become extremely hard. So if I'm working in challenging clay conditions, anything that reduces soil buildup and keeps the tines working consistently is valuable. The heavy-duty construction is another major plus. I don't want to fight with bent or weak tines when I'm trying to penetrate compacted soil. My biggest positives are first, hardened steel tines, second, the anti-clog design, third, heavy-duty construction, and finally, the ergonomic design makes it more practical for longer sessions. There is one major consideration. It's still a manual tool. The supplied performance information suggests moderate physical effort, so I wouldn't call this effortless. And if I'm managing a very large commercial property, I'd still lean toward a powered or tractor-mounted solution. I'd choose this for homeowners with established clay lawns, serious lawn care enthusiasts, and property managers who need a durable manual solution. If clay compaction is the specific problem I'm trying to solve, this is the one I'd put at the top of my list. So here's how I'd break down the list. Best overall for clay soil: heavy anti-clog core aerator. Best editor's choice: manual heavy-duty lawn core aerator. Best budget: manual lawn aerator with step-to-eject, best for targeted problem areas, lawn Stik. Aerator best for larger properties, heavy-duty steel core aerator, best hollow-tine option, manual lawn aerator with hollow tines. Before you buy anything, I want to give you a few things I'd personally check. Hollow tines. If my goal is to relieve serious compaction, I prefer true core aeration because the tool removes plugs rather than simply poking holes. 2. Strong steel tines. Clay is tough. I want hardened or heavy-duty steel tines that can handle repeated penetration without bending. 3. Enough weight. A lightweight tool can be easier to carry, but when I'm trying to penetrate dense clay, some additional weight can actually be helpful. 4. Working width. If I'm treating a small lawn, width isn't as important. But on a large property, a wider working area can dramatically reduce the number of passes I need to make. 5. Soil moisture. This one is extremely important. I don't want to aerate bone-dry clay if I can avoid it. I want the soil to have enough moisture that the tines can penetrate, but not so much that the clay becomes sticky and the cores smear instead of breaking cleanly. If I have a small lawn, I'd go with a manual hollow-tine or step-to-eject aerator. If I have a medium-sized clay lawn, I'd look at the heavy anti-clog model or manual heavy-duty core aerator. If I have a large lawn, I'd seriously consider a wider tractor-compatible aerator rather than doing the entire job manually. And if I'm a professional landscaper, speed and coverage become much more important. So I'd prioritize heavy-duty equipment that works with my existing mower or tractor. So what's the best core aerator for clay soil? For me, the answer depends on the lawn. If I want the best overall option, specifically for challenging clay, my first choice from this list is the heavy anti-clog core aerator for clay soil. If I'm looking for a strong manual alternative, I'd go with the manual heavy-duty lawn core aerator. And if I'm trying to keep the cost down, the step-to-eject manual lawn aerator is the one I'd look at first. But remember, the most expensive aerator isn't automatically the best aerator for your lawn. I want to match the tool to the soil condition, lawn size, how often I aerate, and how much physical work I'm willing to do. And most importantly, if your lawn is struggling because of clay compaction, aeration is only part of the solution. Improving drainage, maintaining proper mowing practices, and following a good overall lawn care routine can make a much bigger difference over time. I've put the products from this list in the description so you can check the current details and availability before buying. If this video helped you figure out which type of core aerator makes sense for your lawn, Give the video a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Is your lawn dealing with heavy clay, poor drainage, or both? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.